Greetings everyone, this is GI Joburg, my name is Steve, and I'm here to bring you another Lazy List review show. After shooting Atlantis Factor, we decided to dial it back with a very easy to hammer out review of some of the coolest Power Team Elite toys from their World Peacekeepers line. This is actually a viewer request. A number of you have asked me if I don't mind showcasing these toys. I don't mind at all. We just might have to change the title from GI Joburg to like GI Peacekeepers. First up, the venerable Humvee in a number of different flavors. We've got Desert over here with a TOW launcher. The back gate opens to reveal a lot of space, some additional ammunition in there in fact. All of the doors open. Okay, oops. I found a lightsaber. Didn't know that was in there. Put back in there. All of the doors open. Ta-da! The lid is a two-part affair and it closes. Amazing. To accept a figure or to button up the vehicle if they're taking heavy fire. And as I said before, it comes in a number of flavors. This we have desert camo. Crap. We have forest camo. Ta-da! This one sports a grenade launcher with an opening loader. You can lock it in place and rock and roll. It is slightly oversized for what it is, but it's a cool piece. It has all the same features as the previous one I showed you. And here is an example of G.I. Joe's attempt at a Humvee compared to World Peacekeepers. We all knew it. We knew that the Hummer was oversized, right? And also, the generic kind of one-ups it in one important respect. See-through plastic. Very cool. The final variation that I have to hand is the flatbed or a troop transport. You can have guys seated there. In fact, this might be a very useful opportunity to answer the age-old question, does a modern era figure fit in it? For that purpose, I have none other than the modern era 25th anniversary Deep Six, and it fits. You can attempt a seated position. Not really. Does he fit in the driver's position? Gonna try it out. And yes, he does. Okay, getting more serious. Let's see if Resolute Roadblock can fit in this bad boy in the driver's seat. Now, Rhodey is a very long figure, a very tall figure, a very beefy figure. Well, that's a negative. But if you take a more compact figure, here we have Pursuit of Cobra Beachhead. And we are going to have success. Ta-da! We then move on to a very popular mainstay. The AH-6 Little Bird Helicopter. Very cool. Rotor spin very freely, as you can see. It's fully armed with two miniguns and rocket pods. Doesn't come with two pilots, but there are obviously two pilots seats. Very cool. I mean, you could just army build these. They're great, very useful, and this is a hardy representation of it. I'd say this is the best one for your money because it comes in at a lower price point than other versions of these, and they just have all the bells and whistles. The weapon systems are removable. You can take it all apart. That way. You can feed the bullet belt through and remove the ammo box. So you can fit troops in there. They can sit on the ledges and either snipe from there or be deployable from there. It's a very cool all-purpose helicopter, and it's exactly what you need it to be. No frills, no fuss, just a hardy, durable, and very fun representation of a very useful workhorse. Awesome. What's next? Okay, let's look at a boat. Now, Power Team Elite have a very expansive motor pool. They've got it all. There are smaller kayaks, but this here is an inflatable or semi-rigid boat. It's got some great features. Once again, terrific personnel. This guy even has sort of night optics. All the gear is detachable, removable. Perhaps in a more in-depth review, I'll be able to take a look at these figures in more depth. You know, depth, pun. These guys are divers. But notice that their fins are rubber and very flexible. So these are, in fact, the best scrim fins money can buy, I'd say. Even better than GI Joe's articulated, very fussy versions, because you don't need articulation when it's flexible rubber. Perfect. The vehicle itself, number of features. You've got a light up front with a transparent piece of plastic to simulate the light. It's nice that it's neon, seems to show up very brightly. It's beautiful. An anchor, awesome. What a thoughtful inclusion. Gear can be stowed here. Driver's position doesn't really seat any driver, so to speak. They kind of stand and are supported by these braces, but you can fit his hands onto the wheel and have him pilot the boat. Moving to the rear, very cool. 2 outboards. The propellers do spin, but also they can be multi-positional. If you had a third one, you could place it there. There are notches to which these brackets do attach. Awesome, awesome. In fact, let me show you what it looks like with 3 in place. If you want a supercharged pursuit, it's a bit snug, but you can definitely do it. So this is the sort of clean decks version. There is another version in existence, and I have it, very excitedly. This one is a bit more of a gunboat, machine gun up front, very nicely sculpted, and a full range of motion. Also comes with a sculpted anchor and rope. The operator's position, or pilot, or boat driver is up front. It just sort of reshuffles the furniture basically, but leaves you with less space and more, I suppose, troop assignment positions. You've still got the removable cover for all your gear, your weapons, your fins, your octo, your rebreathers. I took the engine off of this one so that I could demonstrate 3 engines, but here we have it with just 1 outboard. Still, it's pretty good. But does it float? So here we go, the true test of any toy boat. Does it float? And more than that, can it actually perform some maneuvers in the water? This is not just a dunk tank. This is a swimming pool. It's not quite the ocean, you know, GI Joburg style, but it should serve our purposes just as well. Here we go. Not bad. Next one. I'm just joking. Or am I? And finally, the one with the machine gun. Now they are 2 separate plastic halves with a seam running along them. So the potential to take on water is there if they're in the water for a prolonged period of time. Shush dog. But at least at first blush they stay afloat. Hey, not bad, Abrams. So if we were to push down on it, let a little bit of water in. You can probably hear, yeah, there's definitely some water inside it. But not bad. Not bad for a plastic hull. Certainly rides high enough out of the water to keep that seam from taking in too much. What also floats, as that clip clearly demonstrates, is the M1 Abrams tank. This is beautiful. I mean, this is just everything I ever wanted from a tank. It's big, it's green, it feels substantial, but it still is of a toy scale. You know, it's not enormous that it becomes unwieldy. And what's more, it's not motorized, but it does have individual treads. How cool is that? This is a plastic strip that is linked and runs over the bogie wheels to create an accurate tank motion, which actually works quite nicely on the grass. Other features include elevating turrets. It seems to have only two real positions, sort of elevated and then flat trajectory. That's okay. This is not a deluxe toy, but it is a very functional toy. So it rotates one direction and hits a stop, and then can rotate the other direction and hits that same stop. So not full 360 rotation. It's not going to be able to achieve that. You've got a 50 on top, another smaller gun, not sure what that's supposed to be, on top, and then a second hatch. Yeah, keep a commander company. It gets lonely up there sometimes. Bam, and that's it for the Abrams. Oh yes, of course, we've got a tow hitch. I wonder if it works with any towable GI Joe weapon systems. Next up, the Russian equivalent of the M1, the T-72. Bam! Same stuff applies here. There is a click, and that took me by surprise, to the turret. Full 360-degree rotation on this bad boy, and way more elevation. It also features a paint scheme, whereas the Abrams has a kind of a bit of a dry brush of sort of grey, making it look a little bit oily. This one has a more intentioned camo pattern. Hate it or love it, it's nice that they went to the effort. The same feature applies here, the rolling tracks. It is sculpted very, very accurately. You'll see it even has sculpted in spare track links in case this thing throws a track and needs to be repaired. It doesn't function like that, obviously, but it's a very thoughtful inclusion that, yes, they are sculpted in, and in fact, they are separate pieces that I suppose you could snap off if you wanted to break your toy. Very nicely detailed and very unique gun on top with a lot of motion. And of course, hatches. Two hatches, once again. The forward-facing and rear-facing hatches. Perfect, amazing. What more could you want from essentially the baddie tank? Along with the baddie tank, we have the baddie air support, the Kamov KA-62 presumably. It's called a Kasatka. Correct me if I'm wrong, or just crucify me in the comment section below, but this is a Russian aircraft that has not yet gone into full production. It was supposed to enter service in 1998, it's been delayed and delayed and delayed, presumably a budgetary issue, but this is a very, very solid toy representation of what could be potentially a very cool attack helicopter. Very cool because not only does it utilize rocket pods, which are removable. You would just slide them forwards or backwards. It's pretty stiff. I don't play with this nearly enough. They are removable. There's a third option, which has rather substantial rocket tubes. Presumably that's like a wire-guided missile or heat seeker or something like that. I don't know. Once again, correct me in the comments section. But what makes this very cool is the fact that it has a troop section in the back. So it could be a kind of a VIP transport helicopter as well. Let me see if I can get it open. It sometimes is a little bit difficult for one with no nails. Ha! There we go. She's not camera shy after all. Look at that. There are two seats in there. Very, very cool. And what's also cool is they didn't skimp on production value. These are fully glassed in plastic windows. Wonderful. I love that. I mean, it's always sad when a toy cheaps out on its clear plastic. Not so here. Something I wanted to talk about with the Hummer, forgot it. Rubber tires feature very prominently in this toy line. And that just helps so much with traction. It's your own peace of mind as a collector that you're not going to scratch your wheels to pieces by playing on the bricks. Now for a little Dio piece. Hey, does this not just one-up GI Joe so effortlessly? It's just a little Watchtower. Not so little, it's quite tall. And features a very thoughtful rope ladder. plastic bars held together by string, so roadblock can ascend and then man this honkin'. Behave, roadblock, you're on camera. Honkin' weapon. Badass. Yeah, man. These are great. Get 4 of them and you can encircle your GI Joe 1983 HQ. Just get a little bit of added protection from enemies. Let's take a look at another chopper, shall we? You're gonna recognize this one. The AH-60 Black Hawk helicopter. Very, very nicely presented in what is not scale accurate, but certainly very toy-friendly scaling. Here we see once again the clear plastic used in the windshields, not on the side windows. This comes from a slightly earlier time in the line, but that's fine. Plenty of space in the back, though it is a bit cramped. It certainly is not, as I say, true to life. It's not as big as the actual Black Hawk's interior would be, but good enough to store some guns. Let's try a GI Joe helicopter guy. Lift ticket. I know he's normally up front, but let's put him in the back for now. Yes, he fits in the back. It's not the roomiest of fits, but he can achieve it. And naturally, I'm sure he's itching to get up front and tell these world peacekeepers how it's done, GI Joe style. There you go. It is indeed modern era friendly, in case you're wondering. And it is a very lovingly presented, yet basic version of the venerable Black Hawk. Imagine if we had one of these instead of an Stryker. Yeah, man. Light infantry vehicle with so many bells and whistles. Okay, the Stryker mounted a top turret and a recoilless cannon. This one's got the oversized grenade launcher on the bonnet with a full, well, almost full degree of motion. What more kind of motion would you want from it? It mounts 2 missile launchers in brackets that are removable on top. It has a mounted 50 with a gunner's position. He's got a little bit of motion there, a little bit of wiggle room. Driver's position up front with a steering wheel that turns, of course. Then the gunner's position beside him, and what's more, to get some pesky pursuers off your tail, you've got a very exquisitely molded M60 machine gun on a bracket that moves. Your gunner, I suppose, can swivel his chair around if he wants to get off the 50. I mean, it does get a little bit cramped, but he can do it. You can swivel that around to face the back, seat your man. I mean, this thing does absolutely everything you could possibly demand it to do. Okay, I could get him a little bit more snugly there given the time, but we just got so much to get through, if you know what I mean. But yes, a very simple piece, but it's perfect. And if you don't have an Stryker, this is a damn good substitute. It is modern era toy friendly. I'll just put somebody in there. The driver section. Oh, we've run out of Joes. Oh dear, I didn't really think very far ahead. AVAC's gonna have to cover it. Now AVAC's a tricky customer because he's an earlier modern era figure. Therefore he does not possess quite as good, what should we call it, groin as the modern figures of recent years. But he's in there. He's in there. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, he's got the Zartan legs. He's not quite as tight. Bam! So perfect. I mean, this is fantastic fun, and I left this one dusty on purpose because it's just better that way. Speaking of dusty, would he not kill to ride one of these? This is what Power Team Elite laughably call the desert camel. Like, what's it supposed to run around in? Forest? It has rather limited articulation, but enough for its purpose. You can get 1 or 2 posing options out of it. It does have a hinge at the knee, and then again at the thigh. The head Yeah, it looks like it should twist, but it's really just there for a separate piece. Either that or my joint is frozen. The saddle is removable, attached using elastics, and this rope isn't really removable, but why would you want to? You need to maintain some control over this, unless you want a wild animal setup, in which case you can just snip it, I suppose. You'd then be left with a strange little hole. But it's wonderful to be able to have a more basic approach to a desert scenario. And you get that by having the desert camel. In the same vein as the desert camel, you've got the forest horse. All the bells and whistles of the desert camel, plus some extra articulation. The leg is hinged in 3 places: the thigh, the knee, and I suppose the wrist of the horse, if you can call it that. Once again, head is tantalizingly immobile, but you can also get some straight-legged poses out of the legs. Hell, I'm just happy there's a toy line that made these at all. Oh, you do get some movement out of the head. Apologies, I almost misled you. So you can have him rearing up, or putting his head down. Run, 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 run. Let's see, run, 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 run. I'm losing my mind. I need my friends. That's why GI Joburg is not a solo operation. Let's move on, shall we, to some fast movers. Presenting the F-18 Hornet. So glad a toy line actually did this toy, and did it well. It's basic enough not to cost an arm and a leg, but it's also got everything you could ever need from an F-18, including folding wings, making it very carrier friendly, if you flag owners out there know what I mean. Of course, the landing gear folds in, folds back out, of course. Rubber tires, perfect, so much better than plastic. It has hard points that are modular. You can take the drop tanks off and put them on. It comes with sparrows, sidewinders, and 4 bombs that attach to a bracket, a single bracket that then could attach to one of these hard points. Don't have it handy at the moment, but it is a 2-seater, which is also a lot of fun. Not too many Hornets are 2-seaters. A lot of them are 1-seater, and the training variant, I believe, has 2 seats, but it's cool that there are 2 seats. Ironic to have 2 seats on a 1-seater, and it kind of gives it a more bulbous nose. You probably see that, you know, the actual Hornet has a lot more slender a nose than that, but that's okay. Cockpit is nicely detailed. Oh. With some sticks and some sort of buttons. Let's see how Stratoviper does in the cockpit of this jet. Perfect in the front seat, and well, smart money's on him being perfect in the back seat too, but you never know. Ooh, we're encountering some resistance. Huh. Okay, well, I'm not going to give it too much of a hard tonk, because otherwise I'll bore you to tears, but he does encounter some resistance getting into the back seat. In terms of a size comparison, here we have the F-18, and here we have the Stryker. Beautiful, beautiful jets, aren't they? Let's stay with the jets, because here we have a real crowd pleaser, the Sukhoi Flanker. Beautiful, isn't it? Yeah, no, this is a very finely presented jet. We need the baddies jet, and this is it. Just like its F-18 brethren, it sports an air brake, which is kind of a bit cheap, I'm not going to lie. This is a bit disappointing that the rod, it's like putting the bonnet up on a car, but that's not how air brakes work. Anyways, beggars can't be choosers, right? These nozzles turn, I suppose that's unintentional, but yeah, it does that. It's done up in a very nice color scheme, a bit of a as I say, a bit of a pass with a spray to give it some depth, some shading. This is the included pilot, but I'm pretty sure Stryker Viper could be a shoo-in. Let me not speak too soon. Haha! Oh yeah, there you go. Stryker Viper's in it to win it. The cockpit is nicely detailed once again. There is a control center stick. Comes with a full load of missiles of various different sculpts. I mean, they didn't skimp on the details. These guys are different missile types. These don't fit as snugly on the rails, kind of slide out, but once again, beautiful, beautiful. I mean, I don't know the names of Russian missiles as well as I should. Atoll missile or various designations, probably all given to them by NATO anyways, but it's a beautiful presentation of a venerable jet. The tires are plastic on this one. That is a bit disappointing, but of course landing gear folds away very neatly with very realistic looking hatches. I mean, how cool is that? Lovely, lovely. Once again, let's do a little size comparison. Yeah, man. This bad boy would give this guy Stryker a run for its money, I'd say. Oh yes, oh yes. But that leaves us with just one more toy to showcase. The A10 Thunderbolt II. Oh my word. So, this plane has been done a number of times by a number of different companies, Hasbro included. The Rattler was in its third year of GI Joe. It sort of gave us a GI Joe toyetic equivalent of this incredible, incredible piece of machinery. But it was, you know, diminutive, and it was cobra'd up. It had 3 engines, supposed to be the standard 2 setup layout. Maybe they had to not copy the actual thing too closely because maybe it was a patent idea, maybe it was a patent issue. But this is gorgeous. Comes with a full bomb load and some sidewinder missiles, an electronic countermeasures pod, Rockeye bombs. It's just incredible. Was that the ECN pod? Either way, this thing has very, very accurate loadouts. Landing gear is rubberized, folds away accurately, leaving you with a stunning presentation of this plane. Please note, the 30mm cannon does not rotate. It's not quite like the Cobra jet or other incarnations of this jet, which is a little bit unfortunate, but really the scale of this thing and the way it feels in your hands just make up for that 1,000-fold. It's a very, very cool aircraft to fly around your room or the garden or the beach or whatever. I've put an Action Force pilot in it because he looks the parts and also this guy needed the job. But once again, if you want to take out Stryker Viper, pop him in. Yeah, okay, Stryker Viper's behave. Stryker Viper's down in there very, very deep. Okay, finally, he behaved. I mean, its proportions are bang on. While it's obviously not 1 to 18 scale accurately, this is kind of all the A10 I'm ever going to need, let me assure you. This is so good. So good. It even came with a guy that I don't have before me, unfortunately, but he's basically like your deck crew. The guy with the lollipops, which is something GI Joe needs and we've never gotten, so if you get an A10, you get one of those. Speaking of which, how do you get Power Team Elite toys? Well, I can't honestly give you much advice in that regard. Unfortunately, it's a case of if a toy shop in your area happens to have them or not, because they keep popping up. These things are being created currently, I mean, the factory's still churning them out. I see them every festive season here in South Africa. They kind of start making a presence at supermarkets again and toy shops. In Australia, there's a chain called Toy World that sells them. That's where I got this bad boy, and the Sukhoi, and the forest horse and the desert camel. So it really is luck of the draw, I'm afraid. There is no easy answer to where you can find these, but if you do find them, they are worthy of your dime, because yeah guys, I mean, something like this just speaks for itself. Do you want to see these Power Team Elite vehicles in our next GI Joburg webisode series? Well, you can, because we're putting together a poll. Anyone who sends us $5 or more on our GoFundMe will get a vote and decide whether or not you want to see GI Joe take on Power Team Elite, or the Corps, or the Transformers. Anything could happen. And all it takes is a $5 donation between now and Sunday the 27th of May, which is like really soon, and you can tell us what you want to see next. Awesome. Yo Joe Berg.